Okay, so I'm back. The topic for today is going to be about Einstein, his general theory of relativity, his special theory of relativity, and at last I'll go a little bit off topic and tell you something about the universe. So, starting from his general theory of relativity, in which he talked about gravity. So, Newton gave us his formula for gravity, but he did not actually tell us that how did it work. And Einstein was deliberate to find that out. So he imagined a person falling from the roof and he called the happiest thought of his life. Not looking into the integrities of that thought, but looking into the physics of it, what he thought was that when a person will fall, he will feel weightless. He will feel he will not feel his weight or gravity from which the earth is pulling towards it. Taking one more example of this weightlessness, for example, you are in an elevator and someone cut off the wires from the elevator and it started falling. Now imagine that there is a weighing scale at the bottom of your leg. So what do you think would be the weight of the weighing scale if the elevator falls down rapidly? Intuitively, you may be knowing that the weight on the weighing scale will be zero because you are not putting any weight on that weighing scale. The lift is moving, similarly the weighing scale is moving, and simultaneously you are also going down. So that is called weightlessness or free fall. Also had to connect this by the other gravitational phenomenon happening all around the universe, like the moon moving around the earth moving around the sun. So what he thought was that because of the sun's heavy mass, there is a space, there is space which is just flat. Now if we put some massive ball like a sun in between, then the space will warp like this because there is a big mass of sun at the center. So now the earth will move around the space like this in the world, and that is called the earth's orbit. Similarly, because of the earth's mass, it will bend the space a little bit because of its mass, and the moon will go around it, it will revolve around it like this in that orbit. And similarly, this describes all the phenomena in the universe because everything goes around something else. Now this forms the basis of general theory of relativity, and I would be glad if you go out and research and find more about it. Now coming to the special theory of relativity, and this is very interesting. This includes the reality of past, present, future. This includes time dilation, Lorentz contraction, but you don't need to be scared by the names. It's simple topic which most of them think that it's really tough. In this, Einstein told that each and everything in the universe depends on who is watching, or the reference frame, or the point of view of someone. Let me take an example. Like, this is a very common example that you are going in a train. Now, according to you, the train and you are at rest, and all the other things like the trees, the cities, and everything is passing by you, and it is in motion. But let's say a person who is at the platform is viewing you. He will tell that you are in motion, and it is you who is moving and not the trees and environment which is moving. Now, if we take the sun's perspective or the sun's reference frame, whole earth is in motion. So according to the sun, we all are in motion. But according to us, now I am at rest because I am standing, and you are at rest because you are watching this video by sitting or whatever. So this is the basis of special theory of relativity, that each and everything is relative to one another, and who is in motion, who is in rest, that all depends on who is watching. So now we all have this convention idea about time, that 1 hour equals to 60 minutes, 1 day equals to 24 hours. But then what if I told you that this also depends on point of view and motion of the object. So for this, let me take a special type of clock known as a light clock, in which the light moves up and down, and let's say that for going up and down it takes 1 second. Now the this is the case when, from my perspective, the clock is stationary and the clock is not moving. So it is at rest. It is the stationary clock wherein the light is moving up and down for 1 second. Now, what if the clock is in motion? It will not make much of difference if its velocity is very less. But if its velocity is near to the speed of light, it is more than 10 raised to power 7 meters per second, that is very near to the speed of light, then it will make a difference. And you can intuitively imagine this. Let's say the distance for going this is like 1 and 2. But when the clock is in motion, what do you think? What would be the trajectory, or what would be the path which the light takes? So basically, when this clock moves very fast, the light, from my perspective, the light will move something like this. It will not be like this because it's moving so fast that what will I see? That the light is going like this. So what would be the time travel by the stationary light clock? It would just be tick tock. But what would be the time which is traveled by the moving light clock? It would be tick tock. So the time would be more on the stationary clock, on my perspective, that tick tock. But in the moving clock, the clock which is in motion closer to the speed of light, its time would tick slower or talk slower, or overall the time will elapse slowly because it would be tick tock, it would take longer. So for every 1 second over here, this tick tock can take much more amount of seconds. It could even be 1 minute or 1 hour or even millions of years, depending on how fast or what is the speed or velocity of that clock with respect to light. If it is very close, if it is 99.999% the speed of light, because no objects can reach the speed of light, that's why I'm telling this 99.999, then it, for this one tick tock, this can take several years. Now let's come to the reality of past, present and future. So for this you will need to know something about space time. How is space and time related? So now let me first introduce to you for to now slides. What are now slides? So what is happening at this particular moment? This event, like I am speaking to you, this is one event, or you are watching this video, that is one event. After every such movements, every such small movements are taken as events, and that are the now slides according to your perspective. And this now slides happen in space, because space is so vast that all of our now slides can happen in the space. And these now slides happen in certain amount of time, like this now slides, then what we say that this is future and this is past by convention. So first now slide, then now slide, so this is taking some time, then another now slide, that is another moment, another event, then now slide. So this is the space in which the events are taking place in accordance to time. So this as a whole is called the space time. Now coming to the most favorite topic of this day for me, which is the reality of past, present and future. So let's say we take the space time. It's very large, it's very vast. You are here, and let's say your friend is over here. Now let's assume that this distance is very large, it is in space, it's very large distance, but relative to you, both of you, your now slice, let's cut a piece of your now slice which is happening in the earth, would be the same. Like earth is undergoing this or whatever, your now slice for both of you would be the same if we cut like this, if both of you are at rest with relative to one another. Now let's say you are sitting on a bench, but your friend starts moving away from you. Now as he is moving away from you, his now slice will differ from very little angle, and for him he will cut a now slice at this angle. So let's say my now slice, your now slice is like this, but as your friend moves away from you, his now slice would cut something like this. So taking as convection this as future, this as past, right hand side future, left hand side past, he will cut his now side at the left hand side, which is to your left, which is the past. So for him, what would be happening in his now slice would be your past. So he would see, for him, it, his present would be your past. So can you imagine? Say apes are there on earth, and what he is watching is, at his present, is that there are apes on earth, but what you are watching at the present is that I am speaking and you are listening at this video. So can you imagine? And so now, why only will it cut his slice at the past? Why not the future? So now, taking that example of the bus, as you know, your friend has moved away from the light source, away from the light source. So it has written his name later. So that is old news, right? That is an old news. That is in the past. Similarly, as he moves away from you, he will cut his now slice to the past. So for him, his present, what he will see will be your past. And now, if he moves similarly, if he moves towards you, he will cut his now slice like this. Same as you were moving towards the light source in the bus. So he will cut his now slice here. That will be your future. So what will be his present? His present would be your future. That is, let's say, your granddaughter or your grandson inventing something or discovering something at the future, which is his present, your friend's present, but your future. So now our next topic is Lorentz contraction or Lenz contraction. So can you believe that from respective to one person, the length of something is this much, let's say, and from respective to another person or another point of view, its length is just this much. Okay, so for this, let me take an example. Let's say that you are in the train.
Again?
Yeah, and your friend is at the platform. So let's say that the speed is known. The speed of the train is known to both of you. Now, for finding out the time, you start the stopwatch, let's say when the engine is here, and you stop the stopwatch when the back of the train passes this point where first the engine was there. So the train has moved a particular distance in a known speed, and we have calculated the time for you who is inside the train. Now, with your perspective, your friend will also measure the time from outside, and what he will say is that the length of the train is shorter than what you have measured. So now, why does this happen? This happened because with your perspective, you were carrying a stationary clock, but similarly, with your perspective, your friend was in motion because you were at rest in the train. With train you were moving, so you were at rest with respect to you. With respect to, say, not you, with respect to train, but with respect to you, your friend was in motion. You were going like this, but with respect to your friend was in motion, so the clock which was in your friend's hand was ticking time slowly. It was elapsing time slowly with respect to you. It was like tick tock for him with respect to you who were in the train. So now, if the time is less, the speed is known. So speed into time gives us distance. So for him, for your friend, speed into time, time is less, speed is known, it will give a lesser distance, it will give a small amount of distance than a stationary clock which was in your hand at the train. Now, going slightly off topic, let me tell you something about the universe. Like, first, there were theories about a static universe, an eternal universe, and a universe with a Big Bang, which had a starting. So, many scientists proposed that the universe existed. It didn't have a starting. It just existed like there. It was it was eternal. But some other groups of scientists, some other groups suggested that it had a beginning. The universe had a beginning, and this was proven by a scientist known as Hubble by using his Hubble telescope. He noticed that the universe was expanding. So now, if the universe is expanding, earlier in some point of time, it would just be a little point wherein all the things in the universe would be compressed in one single point. And from this we came to know that most probably, the universe would have a beginning. But recently, the Nobel Prize winner of 2020, Roger Penrose, suggested a cyclic universe. What he meant was that first a universe had a beginning, it expanded, it is expanding stage right now. Because of gravity, it will contract and again become one point. After again that point will again expand, it will again contract, again expand, again contract, and this way the universe would behave like a cycle, whereas it will start a journey, it will expand, it will contract, it will again expand, it will again contract. So this could mean that the universe will end like infinite years in the future from our point of view, and it had a beginning, we don't know how, several million years in the past. This was a mouthful of information in just one video. I would recommend you to replay this video so that you get a good hold of this information. And